Who's under the most pressure in the Mavs Jazz series? 877-881-1053. Is it Jason Kidd?
Oh, Jason Kidd, hot seat. Am I right?
First postseason series as head coach. Jalen Brunson with a contract on the line. How about Spencer Dinwiddie with the pressure of potentially picking up the Luka load? How about Dorian Finney-Smith after that contract? And you look over at the Jazz side of things. Quinn Snyder, is he auditioning for the Lakers job as head coach of the Utah Jazz?
And listen, I know people keep getting on to me because I referred to Quinn Snyder as the very cocaine-y looking rude. Quinn Snyder. I don't mean I'm not implying in any way that he does or has done or may do cocaine. I'm just saying he looks like somebody that would. That's all. He embodies that. When I look at his face, the way he puts on his chapstick, and we're going to see it firsthand, okay, for this entire series.
I think it's lip gloss.
Look at the Utah Jazz head coach during these Mavericks games, okay, and just tell me that I'm right, because you're going to feel the exact same way. He's got no pressure. He's sitting in a sweet spot right now because there's something funny about this alleged implosion with this Jazz team that like Quinn Snyder, I almost wanted to call him Dan Snyder, which is not something he would appreciate. Quinn Snyder would rather me call him the very cocaine-y looking Quinn Snyder than Dan Snyder. All right, I think we could all agree with that. But he's found a way to distance himself from that implosion in a way that still has him as a frontline sort of candidate for jobs like the Lakers job, right? And so it's funny on the flip side where like Frank Vogel should not be getting blamed at all for what has gone down with the Lakers this season. He's still the one that takes the fall. Quinn Snyder's been able to just completely dance around this coming apart at the seams Jazz situation because it's all been focused on the players and Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and those personalities, and Quinn Snyder's not really getting into the blame. And I'm not saying he should at all. I'm just simply saying that he's avoided it and he doesn't have a hot seat because his name's out there floating around for jobs like the Lakers and stuff. I think a lot of teams, and rightfully so, he's done a great job for the Jazz over the last half decade.
Sure.
They've been a super competitive team.
They've been great. I mean, there's been times they've been arguably, heading into the playoffs. You look at them. Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Oh, my God. Are you okay?
Yeah, I got
You get emotional talking about Quinn Snyder?
No, I just got something in the throat there just crept up on me. 806 said Snyder looks like a serial killer. But
okay, see, I think he'd rather be labeled the very cocaine-y looking Quinn Snyder than serial killer Quinn Snyder.
I don't know, man. None of them are good. I'll tell you that.
None of them are necessarily
a good basketball coach.
Good per se.
No.
So you wouldn't like it if I said the very cocaine-y looking Zach Wolchuk?
Not at all.
All right.
I don't think that it's a compliment, but however, I think that he's playing with the Mavs are playing with house money. That was a text 940 Maxey because he's already got the shakes, and that's true. Maxey's coming into this postseason having performed very poorly, but I do think this is a Jazz team that this is their last ride. Like they've been one of those Western Conference teams that they have the potential to make a finals run. And Quinn Snyder and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and Bojan Bogdanovic and this entire crop of Utah Jazz players, they've got a lot of good components. And some people have texted and said, "Hey, you're overlooking the Utah Jazz." Okay, I just when you listen to people that cover that team and are in the know, it seems like this is a very fragile mental makeup of a roster that is ready to point the finger at any moment. And unless it's Donovan Mitchell, who just goes off and puts the team on his back, which is very capable of happening. We've seen Rudy Gobert kind of go into a shell at times in the postseason. I just think this is a Jazz team that can be had. Now, without Luka, it's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. And in reality, the Jazz should be favored if Luka can't play in this series. They're better. I mean, it would be foolish probably to pick the Mavericks, but I do think the Mavericks can compete, and I can't wait to see what Jason Kidd's able to do in his first series as head coach of the Mavericks, because I think he's done a fantastic job. I question the hire. And
on the front end, you did, yeah.
And I don't think, and I've been singing his praises the last few months.
Yeah.
And rightly so. I don't think there's a ton of pressure on Jason Kidd. I do think the player that might have the most pressure on him in terms of dollars to be made is Jalen Brunson from a Mavericks standpoint.
Agreed.
Jalen Brunson can break the bank with a good series here.
Yeah. He's the guy that you're going to be looking to. Obviously, Dinwiddie, but Dinwiddie's an established veteran. You kind of you know what he is. There's not necessarily a ton of pressure there on him, though we're all going to be railing against him a little bit if he comes up empty in these first few games, particularly without Luka, assuming Luka's not going to play in the first couple of games. But Jalen Brunson is the big guy right now that we're looking at of, okay, you're the young dude that we're trying to decide right now, do we want to give pretty substantial money to? And he's already earned a good amount of it. Like, even if he doesn't necessarily have a great few games without Luka in this series, he's still already earned himself plenty of money, whether it's from the Mavericks or somebody else. He's shown he's a really good commodity to have. So, but he can take that to a whole other level. And then not only from a dollar figure standpoint, but just from a narrative surrounding him standpoint and the way people view him and the level that he could be put on if he goes and has big games and the Mavs can win at least one of the first two without Luka, something like that. Like, and he comes up big in the fourth quarter, which you'd have to imagine him and Dinwiddie will have to do if they're going to be winning these games without Luka. We've seen him do it, but doing it without Luka, I think would just put a big spotlight on him. Like, oh my gosh, this dude. I mean,
we knew he could do it with Luka,
but maybe he is more than just a role player. Yeah. And doing it in a big stage, big moment like that, I mean, that would be strong. I don't think there's, other than just the general, there's always pressure on a head coach in a playoff series, of course, but like, there's not immense pressure on Jason Kidd. I think it actually lessens the amount of pressure that's on him because of the fact that you're probably not going to have Luka early on in the series. But I am more intrigued than ever in regards to Jason Kidd and the way he handles this, just because he doesn't have Luka. Now he's really going to be put to the test here, and he's got a full week to prepare against a team that they've seen 4 times. They know what to expect for the most part out of the Jazz. So what type of game plan are you putting together? What's your strategy going into this thing, Jason Kidd? Because that's just going to be fun to see. I don't think you have a ton of pressure necessarily. You're not going anywhere, but it will be fun to see how special can Jason Kidd really be from a basketball IQ coaching standpoint? Because without Luka, it challenges you in a massive way.
This is an excellent text that we got in 877-881-1053 via the truckwreck.com text line. The 254, the most pressure in Jazz and Mavs falls on the trainers. Can they get Luka on the court to win the series without jeopardizing his career? Do you forego this year and hope you get back in the next few seasons, or go for it now? And that's spot on. I mean, that is very true. Now, some of that's on Luka. And I don't think, if given the choice, Luka, if he feels that calf is reasonably healthy enough to where he's not going to hurt it worse, he's going to play. But if it's one of those things where the trainers are legitimately concerned about, okay, there's risk of further damaging this to risk future issues, the Mavericks, I think, as an organization, and Bassett gave a great example of this back in 2003 with Dirk when he had an injury and the Mavs were a couple of wins away from going to their first ever NBA Finals in that series against the Spurs.
Oh, it was the knee, right?
And they shut Dirk down.
Yeah.
So
and that's ultimately if the trainers, the doctors, all these guys feel like there is potential for some sort of catastrophic risk here, then that is so much more important.
Absolutely.
Like Luka's long term.
It sucks because you feel like we've played an 82-game season. We've gotten to this point, and now it's, what the hell?
But
what a waste of a season in a way.
But definitely short-sighted to throw a guy out there and end up, there's just going to be nothing worse than him going out there and it's, oh my gosh, now we're dealing with something much larger, and next season, or at least the first part of next season or whatever it is, becomes in jeopardy for Luka. That would be disaster number one. Over Luka not playing at all, the team getting swept, having just a terrible taste in your mouth all off season. Luka being hurt in a way that is affecting him going into next year, something would be even worse than that.
Right.